Today, we delve into the intricate dynamics between NATO and BRICS. NATO, or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, is a military alliance established in 1949. Its primary purpose is collective defense, meaning an attack against one member is considered an attack against all. The organization includes 30 member countries from Europe and North America, and plays a crucial role in maintaining international security and stability. BRICS, on the other hand, is an acronym for 5 major emerging economies: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. This group, unlike NATO, is not a military alliance, but focuses on economic, political, and cultural cooperation. However, in this hypothetical scenario, we assume a military alignment against NATO, with significant emphasis on the nuclear capabilities of Russia and China. Geopolitical tensions between NATO and BRICS have been long-standing, with key friction points including territorial disputes, ideological differences, and competition for global influence. NATO's eastward expansion and its military presence near Russia's borders are significant points of contention, particularly for Russia. A nuclear conflict could be triggered by several scenarios, such as a conventional war escalating out of control, severe cyber attacks, or an accidental nuclear strike. The presence of multiple nuclear-armed states with second strike capabilities further complicates the potential for de-escalation once a conflict begins. The first phase of a nuclear war would likely involve massive, simultaneous nuclear strikes targeting military installations, command and control centers, and major cities. Both NATO and BRICS possess intercontinental ballistic missiles, submarine-launched ballistic missiles, and strategic bombers capable of delivering nuclear payloads across vast distances. Key NATO assets, such as bases in Europe and North America, critical infrastructure, and major cities, would be targeted. This would include NATO's headquarters in Brussels, major US cities like Washington, D.C. and New York, and significant European capitals such as London, Paris, and Berlin. The loss of these assets would cripple NATO's ability to coordinate a response. BRICS, with Russia and China as the primary nuclear powers, would likely adopt a strategy of overwhelming force aimed at incapacitating NATO's nuclear response capabilities. Russia's advanced missile systems and China's growing nuclear arsenal would be pivotal in this strategy. NATO's missile defense systems, including Aegis ballistic missile defense and ground-based mid-course defense, would be stressed to their limits. However, the sheer volume of incoming missiles from BRICS could overwhelm these defenses, leading to catastrophic losses. Both sides possess second strike capabilities, ensuring mutual destruction. NATO's submarine-launched ballistic missiles and BRICS mobile ICBM systems would ensure that even after a first strike, both sides could inflict significant damage on each other. The decapitation strikes aimed at NATO's political and military leadership would cause immediate disarray. The loss of centralized command would hinder coordinated defense efforts and lead to a fragmented and ineffective response. BRICS nations, particularly Russia and China, would likely use the initial chaos to solidify their geopolitical influence. They might push for new international frameworks favoring their interests, effectively sidelining NATO-aligned countries. Neutral countries and non-aligned movements might shift their allegiances towards BRICS, seeing them as the emerging power bloc. International organizations, such as the United Nations, could face significant restructuring or even collapse under the pressure of new global power dynamics. The initial nuclear exchange would devastate the global economy. Key financial centers in the United States and Europe would be destroyed, leading to an unprecedented economic collapse. Stock markets would crash, and global trade would grind to a halt. Rebuilding efforts would be hampered by the sheer scale of destruction and the lingering radioactive contamination. Global supply chains would be disrupted, leading to shortages of essential goods and services. BRICS nations, having emerged as the new power bloc, would attempt to dominate the global economic landscape. China and Russia in particular would leverage their relatively intact infrastructure and resources to rebuild their economies faster than the devastated NATO countries. The initial nuclear strikes would result in millions of immediate casualties, with major cities experiencing unprecedented loss of life. The destruction of infrastructure would leave survivors without access to basic necessities. Survivors would face the threat of radiation sickness, which could lead to a significant increase in cancer rates and other long-term health issues. The healthcare systems, already overwhelmed, would be incapable of handling the scale of medical emergencies. The nuclear conflict would trigger a massive refugee crisis, with millions seeking refuge in less affected areas. This mass movement of people would strain resources in host countries and lead to further geopolitical tensions. Nuclear explosions would release large amounts of radioactive material into the atmosphere, leading to widespread contamination. Fallout would affect agriculture, water supplies, and ecosystems far beyond the immediate blast zones. The concept of nuclear winter suggests that the smoke and soot from widespread fires could block sunlight, leading to a significant drop in global temperatures. This could result in crop failures and a severe famine, compounding the humanitarian crisis. The long-term environmental damage would be profound, with ecosystems taking decades, if not centuries, to recover. The contamination of soil and water sources would have lasting effects on biodiversity and human health. In the aftermath of NATO's destruction, BRICS nations would likely emerge as the dominant global powers. They would influence international politics, economics, and security structures in line with their interests. The geopolitical landscape would be drastically altered, with new alliances forming and old ones disintegrating. Countries previously under NATO's umbrella might seek new security arrangements with BRICS. International institutions like the United Nations and the World Bank might undergo significant changes or be replaced by new organizations reflecting the new power dynamics. BRICS would likely push for a multipolar world order, reducing Western influence. The destruction of NATO in a hypothetical nuclear war between BRICS and NATO would result in unprecedented global devastation. The immediate impacts would include massive loss of life, economic collapse, and environmental catastrophe. Politically, BRICS would emerge as the dominant power bloc, reshaping international relations and institutions to reflect their interests. The long-term consequences would see a complete transformation of the global order, with new alliances and power structures defining the future. This analysis, though deeply hypothetical, underscores the catastrophic nature of nuclear conflict and the profound changes it would bring to the world. It serves as a stark reminder of the importance of maintaining global peace and the dire need for effective nuclear disarmament and conflict resolution mechanisms.